Slumpbuster Reacts is sponsored by cavemancoffee.com. Use promo code SLUMP and you get 15% off their great cold brew coffees. If you need a great caffeine boost in the morning, I highly recommend the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee. It is simply one of the best canned cold brew coffees I've ever had. It is so smooth and it gives you that nice, great pickup early in the morning and even during the day. But if caffeine isn't your thing, they also have a great sparkling hibiscus herbal tea cold brew. It is hibiscus tea is just has a great taste, but theirs is even better. Everybody, I hope you enjoy my reaction. Hey, what's up, everybody? C Money here, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Justin Learns Things. This YouTube channel is really awesome, especially if you want to learn like the history of the NFL teams, MLB teams, and NBA teams. Just like how they got their name and like all the franchise changes that they've made over the years, all the moves from different cities to different states. It's a really awesome channel. So that's why I'm going to give a big shout out to Justin Learns Things. He I wouldn't even know the history of any of the teams without this channel. So thank you for all your great content, and that's why I'm going to react to how it was named the NFL teams. This one's gonna be a two-parter. It's gonna be too long to react to all of it in one. So this is gonna be part one. So hope you guys enjoy it. I'm really interested to see how certain NFL teams got their names and like what changes they've made. Because I remember during the MLB one, yeah, it was actually not even the MLB one, the NBA one. It was so many changes for so many different franchises. Yeah, especially the Wizards. That history is insane. Everybody, hope y'all enjoy it.
The NFL has a long and storied history, and one of the most interesting pieces of that history is how each team got its name. We'll start with the very beginning. The Arizona Cardinals were founded in Chicago as Morgan Athletic Club in 1898, making them the oldest team now in the NFL.
1898, I had no idea that even went back to that time. 1898, oh my god.
Soon the Morgan Athletic Club was moved to Chicago's Normal Park and renamed the Racine Normals. Racine was chosen because Normal Park was on Racine Avenue. In 1901, the owner bought used uniforms from the University of Chicago, but they were so faded that they looked red instead of maroon. Because of those dirty uniforms, the team was renamed to the Racine Cardinals. This team was forced to pause operations for World War I and the Spanish flu, but began playing again in late 1918. In 1920,
Dang.
the NFL was founded as the...
So that's crazy. In World War I and the Spanish flu, they had to pause the team. That's insane. Definitely can't do that nowadays. We definitely learned with, this pandemic that you just can't pause a season. Dang, that's crazy.
APFA, and the Cardinals are one of two remaining charter members, the other of whom we'll discuss in a bit. The franchise fee for joining this new league was a whopping $100, or about $1,200 today. What a steal!
Dude, imagine that, joining a league just for $100. Wow. Right now, I don't even know how much. I just assume it's just millions and millions of dollars. That's insane.
1922, the APFA was renamed to the National Football League. A new team from Racine, Wisconsin entered the league, and confusion over the Chicago-based Racine Cardinals name prompted a change to the Chicago Cardinals. Because of World War II, there was a player shortage. The Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Steelers merged for a single season to field a team and were known as Card Pit.
What?
By the 1950s, the Cardinals were completely overshadowed by their cross-city rivals, the Bears. Averaging barely 3 wins a season, the team was nearly bankrupt, and the NFL demanded a hefty relocation fee that the owners, the Bidwell family, could not pay. Luckily for the Cardinals, the prospective buyers of the team decided to start their own league, the American Football League. Creating this new competition for the NFL, it prompted the league to allow the team to finally move to St. Louis in 1960. Instead of changing...
So I'm guessing that is the true beginning of the AFL league. That's crazy. I had no idea.
Changing the team name to be different from the already existing baseball team in St. Louis. When the Cardinals moved, they became informally known as the St. Louis Football Cardinals. The Cardinals struggled to find success in St. Louis. Their stadium got old, attendance dropped, and the team ultimately decided to move in 1988 to Phoenix, Arizona. They became known as the Phoenix Cardinals. Finally, 6 years after their move to Arizona, the team was renamed for a final time to the Arizona Cardinals.
In 1994.
The Packers are one of the oldest teams in the NFL. They were founded in 1919 and competed independently before joining the NFL in 1921. The team gets its name from one of the founders, who worked at the Indian Packing Company. Lambeau needed money for uniforms and equipment for his newly founded team, and his bosses at his day job gave him the funds on the one condition that he named the team after the company. And that's how the Packers got their name. The Chicago Bears are the only other team, along with the Arizona Cardinals, that were a part of the original inaugural season of the NFL in 1920. They were originally named the Decatur Staleys after A.E. Staley Food Starch Company. They were actually a company team, owned and operated by the company. In 1921, the team was sold for a whopping $100 and moved to Chicago, becoming the Chicago Staleys. Boy, $100 sure doesn't buy what it used to. The following year, they changed the team name from the Staleys to the Chicago Bears. He chose Bears to better align with the Chicago Cubs, with whom they shared Wrigley Field until 1971. The New York Giants joined the NFL in 1925. The team took the same name as the New York Giants baseball team. To distinguish between the two, these New York Giants became known as the New York Football Giants, a name that continues to be their legal corporate name to this day, despite the fact that the baseball team moved to San Francisco in the 50s. The Detroit Lions were originally founded in 1930 in Portsmouth, Ohio, and were called the Portsmouth Spartans. At the time, Portsmouth was the NFL's smallest city, and the team was struggling to survive. So in 1934, the team was sold and relocated to Detroit. The name Lions was chosen to better match Detroit's baseball team, the Detroit Tigers. This one is easily the most controversial, but I will do my best. Washington began as a franchise in 1932, established in Boston as the Boston Braves. Braves was chosen to match the baseball team that they shared a stadium with, also called the Boston Braves, later the Atlanta Braves. A year later, they ended up moving to Fenway and shared a field with the Boston Red Sox.
That's so crazy how each team shares a name history with MLB teams. That's crazy. Like, they each had to share a field, and they each had to be named something similar to the MLB team. And they had to change it a little bit just to distinguish between both. That's crazy. That's really cool history I know.
So they renamed the team again to avoid confusion of having the same name as the crosstown rivals. At that time, Redskins was chosen to differentiate their team from other sports franchises with Native American names. In 1937, the team was moved from Boston to be closer to the owner's home in Washington, D.C. The name was kept upon relocation, and this is how we got the Washington Redskins. In 2020, spurred on by the protests happening over the summer, the team finally announced the decision to retire the name Redskins. The team would simply go by the Washington Football Team until a new name is made permanent in 2022, which frankly, I like the sound of Washington Football Team. It brings a little bit of a European flair similar to the names we see in the MLS. To hear more about those, check out my MLS video. But whatever the team ultimately decides in 2022, be sure to check back. I'll make a footnote to this video and include them all in a playlist. Until then, we remain with the Washington Football Team. Pittsburgh Steelers were founded in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1933 as the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates was chosen to mimic their landlord, the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball team. In 1940, the owner decided he wanted a unique name and identity separate from the baseball team, so a contest was held to determine a new team name. A panel selected the name Steelers from the entries, a reference to the city's steel industry. During World War II, the Steelers twice merged for a single season with other franchises in order to field a team while many players left for war. First, in 1943, the Steelers merged with the Eagles roster to form Phil Pitt, also called the Steagles. Then in 1944, they merged with the Cardinals to form Card Pitt. The following year, they returned to being the Steelers, and they have remained the Steelers ever since. The Eagles were founded in Philadelphia in 1933 after a previous franchise went bankrupt only 2 years earlier, and they have always been known as the Eagles. The name Eagles was chosen as a reference to President FDR's New Deal and their National Recovery Administration that used a blue eagle as their logo. Briefly, in 1943, just like the Cardinals in 1944, the Eagles merged for a single season during World War II with the Pittsburgh Steelers and were known briefly by fans as the Steagles. The following season, they returned to being the Philadelphia Eagles. The Rams began life in 1936.
So that's insane. So pretty much that's crazy. So pretty much the war, World War II, did have an effect on the actual sporting events and football teams, that they had to combine teams. That's crazy. So the Steelers and the Eagles formed one team called the Steagles, and then after that it was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cardinals, and they named it Card Pitt. That's crazy. Yeah, World War II was definitely one of those wars that affected everything, just like World War One.
As the Cleveland Rams. Rams was chosen for the owner's favorite college football team, the Fordham Rams of Fordham University in New York. In 1946, the owner threatened to close up shop if he wasn't allowed to move his team to Los Angeles. Eventually, the league conceded, and the move was finalized, giving us the Los Angeles Rams. At least the first time that they were the Los Angeles Rams, because in 1995, citing a poor stadium and a disappearing fan base, the ownership moved the Rams to St. Louis. Again, because of a poor stadium, but also the appeal of the second biggest U.S. market. Immediately following the conclusion of the 2015 season, the Rams, along with the Chargers and Raiders, all filed for relocation to Los Angeles. In 2016, the league voted allowing the Rams to relocate, giving us the new Los Angeles Rams. The Cleveland Browns were founded in Cleveland, Ohio in 1944. They played their first season in 1946 in the inaugural season for the AAFC, which was a competitor to the NFL. Their first head coach was named Paul Brown, and he previously coached the Ohio State Buckeyes. Because of his popularity, fans wanted to call the team the Cleveland Browns, and despite his objections, the owner eventually gave in, naming the team the Browns. The Browns would eventually be one of 3 teams to join the NFL after a merger in late 1949. The AAFC was absorbed by the NFL, and the Browns are one of the 2 AAFC teams still in existence today. The Browns paused operations in 1996 when the team relocated to Baltimore, but the NFL promised a new team that would retain all the logos and history of the Browns. They got that team, as promised, in 1999, once again giving us the Cleveland Browns. San Francisco 49ers were founded as the first professional sports team in San Francisco in 1944, playing their first season in 1946. They are the other still surviving team from the AAFC that merged with the NFL in 1949. The name 49ers comes from the prospectors who moved to San Francisco in search of riches during the 1849 gold rush. But joining the NFL 100 years after the gold rush that they're named for, the 49ers retained their name, as always remaining the 49ers. The Colts were founded in 1953 in Baltimore, Maryland as the Baltimore Colts. They were named after the third AAFC team that came to the NFL after the merger, also called the Baltimore Colts. But financial issues meant that the original Colts team would only play one season in 1950 before folding, and this new Colts team would be founded just a couple seasons after. Colts was chosen in honor of Baltimore's history of horse racing. The Preakness Stakes is one of the events in horse racing's Triple Crown and takes place in Baltimore every May. By 1983, the relationship between the owner of the Colts and the city of Baltimore deteriorated. The Colts owner was shopping the team with different cities, and by March, the city of Baltimore passed legislation to seize ownership of the team by eminent domain. So within 48 hours, the ownership agreed to a deal with the city of Indianapolis and moved the team in the middle of the night. Like, literally, at 2 a.m., they loaded up 15 moving trucks with all of their stuff and drove it to Indianapolis. To add insult to injury, upon arriving in Indianapolis, the team name was retained despite its ties to Baltimore's famous horse race. And that's how we got the Indianapolis Colts. The Bills were founded in Buffalo, New York in 1959. Buffalo had previously had an AAFC team called the Buffalo Bison, which was founded in 1946, but decided to change their name to Buffalo Bills after only one season. Buffalo Bills is a play on the name Buffalo Bill Cody, a famous figure of the Wild West. The AAFC Buffalo Bills were folded as a part of the merger with the NFL in 1949. A decade later, a new league formed called the American Football League. Like the AAFC before it, the AFL was a league created to compete directly with the NFL. This is the league that the Buffalo Bills we know today were originally a part of. The AFL would run for 10 seasons before merging with the NFL. This is when conferences were created in the NFL. The existing 10 AFL teams from the merger, along with the Baltimore Colts, the Cleveland Browns, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, would become the American Football Conference in the NFL. The rest of the existing NFL teams at the time of the merger became the National Football Conference. The AFL Buffalo Bills kept their name when the leagues merged and they joined the NFL in 1970. The Denver Broncos were founded in 1959 in Denver, Colorado, and were also a founding member of the American Football League. The owners held a Name the Team contest, and the winning name was the Broncos. This name was likely popular due to the Denver Broncos baseball team that played in Denver in the 1920s. The Broncos also kept their name when they joined the NFL in the merger of 1970. The Kansas City Chiefs were founded in 1959 in Dallas, Texas, as the Dallas Texans. They were all...
What? They're the Dallas Texans. Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, that's crazy. That's insane. I have to listen to this.
Also a founding member of the American Football League. When the NFL established the Dallas Cowboys a year later, in 1960, interest in the Texans faltered due to the NFL's massive popularity. The team was then relocated in 1963 to Kansas City, and originally the plan was to retain the name Texans. Probably wasn't the best idea. Unsurprisingly, when put to a fan contest, Texans was rejected and Chiefs was chosen in honor of Harold Bartle, the mayor of Kansas City, who was partially responsible for bringing the team there. Bartle's nickname was Chief. The Chiefs retained their name when the leagues merged in 1970, giving us the Kansas City Chiefs. The Los Angeles Chargers were founded in Los Angeles in 1959 and were also a part of the American Football League. Chargers was chosen in part because of the common sports fanfare that was first written at USC in the 1940s that goes da-da-da-da-da-da, followed by the crowd yelling, "Charge!" The Chargers began playing in Los Angeles before moving in 1961 to San Diego, becoming the San Diego Chargers. They too kept their name when they came to the NFL in the 1970 merger. But prior to the 2017 season, the Chargers moved back to Los Angeles and once again became the Los Angeles Chargers. The Patriots were founded...
That's crazy, dude. That's nuts, man. So pretty much World War II had an effect on NFL teams. So a lot of them had to combine together for that one season. A lot of places ended up buying teams or forming teams. They joined the AFL and they merged with the NFL. So now they have the American Football Conference. And the Chiefs, that I've never even heard of that history, that they were the Dallas Texans and then Dallas formed the Dallas Cowboys and they had to move the the Chiefs or the Dallas Texans to Kansas City, and they changed the name to Chiefs. That's crazy, man. This history is nuts. Like wow. This history is these sports names, like the history behind it is crazy. So now I really want to know the history behind the Dallas Cowboys, because Dallas Cowboys is now the most profitable team in the NFL, and they're America's team. So I really want to know, like, how did they even like get that? How did they even get that status of America's team? I really want to know. All right, buddy. So part 2 will be coming soon. I hope you guys enjoyed part 1. I know I did. Justin Learns Things is a very, very good YouTube channel, especially if you want to know the history behind the sports teams. It's really good. The creator really, really does his homework and his research. So y'all should definitely check out Justin Learns Things. Everybody, and if you like our content, please like and subscribe. Please follow the Slumpbuster on the various social media platforms, and listen to us where you get our podcasts. We post episodes daily and weekly. Everybody, stay safe and have a good one.